And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of another week of the HomeStory Cup 23 Group A. I'm of course your host ZvT, and with me I'm joined by all the lovely and beautiful ducks in the pond. Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing. But welcome, everyone. Welcome. We started casting HomeStory Cup replays last week with the beginning of Group A, and there were just so many matches to go through, so many. And if you recall, we also wanted to cut the broadcast a little bit short because last week we actually coincided with Gamers 8. I think like the last 30 minutes or so, the last 30 minutes or last hour of the HomeStory Cup broadcast was also actually overlapping with Gamers 8. So again, we didn't want to go over time, did end up raiding Gamers 8. And again, it was a great and amazing event over the weekend. I say over the weekend, it was like a 5-day event or something. It was quite intense. I highly recommend checking out the VODs of both Gamers 8 and HomeStory Cup as well. We had a lot of really interesting games, a lot of fun games as well. We were able to showcase players like Reynor and Lambo, Kelazhur, Forjumi, Hearthstone as well. It's a lot of good fun. And the fun continues. The fun does continue. If I recall correctly, I want to say Kelazhur actually... he was actually looking pretty impressive. Yeah, he was looking pretty impressive last week. We casted Kelazhur against Lambo, and he went all the way to the ace match against Lambo. And even in game 3, he was looking pretty good. Like there's a world out there where Kelazhur actually defeats Lambo, which would have been insane. Did go to the ace match at least, and as you can see here, just underneath me, Kelazhur is going to be the first player featured here tonight alongside Reynor. Those wondering, this is a replay cast. HomeStory Cup did take place a couple of weeks ago, or almost a month ago at this point, so quite some time ago, but they did release the replay packs out to the public, and we are just going to be covering the group stage. I don't think we have any intention of covering the playoff brackets, as I think that was, for the most part, all played on the mainstream. But when it comes to the group stage, not so much. When it comes to the group stage, there were matches held off stream or in other areas. So yeah, wanted to at least cover those. On top of that, we had to, because they had the Ducks. Clearly. For those who don't know, for those who didn't watch the event live, HomeStory Cup, they actually did have a duck pond on the main stream. They had it in front of the casters, and they would fish for the ducks from time to time. So it was really cool to see the ducks incorporated in some way in HomeStory Cup. So you know, we have to be there for them, for the ducks. Quack, puppy, quack. We have 5 best of 3s for you tonight. 5 best of 3s. And this may line up very nicely with our next cast as well. In 4.5 hours, we're going to be casting another tournament. We're going to be casting OSC King of the Hill. So again, ideally we can cast this and go straight into the next one. A bit of a marathon tonight of back-to-back casts of HomeStory Cup into OSC King of the Hill. OSC King of the Hill you should be a little bit more familiar with. It is a best of 1 format tournament. Winner stays on, loser gets eliminated. So that's something to look forward to later on in the night. Until then, though, we have our first series. We have Reynor versus Kelazhur. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Let us dive right in. Again, it was really impressive to see Kelazhur last week against Lambo. Was looking very powerful, was looking pretty impressive, more so than I was really expecting. So it was pleasantly surprising to see him do well. And here he is in the bottom right hand corner of Dragon Scales. We have the Brazilian Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is Kelazhur. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Italian Zerg player representing Team Basilisk. It is Reynor. People filing in the chat. Good morning. Buenos dias, papi. Buenos dias. Good morning. Hope everyone is having a great day. Again, a great day full of StarCraft is ahead of us. And Kelazhur, we're popping off, papi. We have multiple SCVs moving out on the map. This is looking like a proxy 2 racks for the time being. Yep, only 2 racks, only 2 SCVs. Kelazhur is actually getting a gas geyser back at home. Interesting. So this isn't your typical proxy 2 racks. This is a build that has been popping up from time to time. It still isn't very common of a proxy, especially in this matchup. Reynor, he's going for a hatch gas pool opener. Very standard stuff out of Reynor. Typically, when you're proxy raxing in this matchup, you're bunker rushing. You're getting bunkers, you're getting marines, and you're laying siege upon the natural base. With this gas geyser, I believe is going to be a Reaper variation instead. I know Hon Mono was messing around with this. There was another Terran player. Oh my god. I want to say Gumiho. I want to say Gumiho as well. As you can imagine, I just named two very quirky Terran players, and now, yeah, Kelazhur is going for those proxy Reapers. This needs to snowball quite a bit. There's a little bit less staying power with these Reapers because you can't quite contain, you can't threaten the bases. You have to try to dance with the queens and get some economic damage done instead. Oh boy, so we'll see what Kelazhur can do. It's only 2 Raxes, which means we can transition out of this. I'm sure, depending on how many Reapers we commit to, we can either start throwing down a factory back at home. I guess we could even throw down like a 3rd Rax back at home and just commit to mass Reaper and go for like an engineering bay and +1 attack. That has happened in the past. So here we go. The first Reaper does rock up. It does force one of those spores. So far, oh, does get a drone kill already. Oh my god, a surprising amount of damage done. As the Lings do force them back again. To be fair, these Reapers, they need to do damage, but for one drone to die to only 1 Reaper, already a good start here for Kelazhur. He gets to the Ling, has to be very careful not to get surrounded. Oh, and it looks like he barely will not. Another couple of Lings are going down. The Queen does pop. Kelazhur backs off, and he only made 3 Reapers. This is crazy. Okay, it looks like Kelazhur, he wants to force an overreaction. Only 3 Reapers for Kelazhur. Oh god, he barely will keep all these Reapers alive. Can he get the Queen? He will barely get the Queen as well. Nicely done here by Kelazhur. I'm really torn. I'm having like some conflicting emotions. So far, we haven't lost anything. So far, no Ling speed. Like, we've killed a drone, 6 Lings, 7 Lings, a Queen. Like, these Reapers have done a lot of damage, don't get me wrong. They have done well for themselves. But this was a pretty big commitment. Like, there's a lot to analyze here about this build, this opener of Kelazhur. Unlike the Beyond 2 racks, the add-ons, Stim, you know, the reactor, all that stuff is very heavily delayed. Meanwhile, oh my god, we're going for 2 CCs behind this. I mean, I guess we have to. Not just the natural, but a very fast 3rd as well. Kelazhur, his transition is crazy. But it needs to be crazy, just because there's nothing to work with here. There are no units other than the Reapers. Again, Stim and Marine production has been delayed despite the 2 racks opener because they were in transit for so long. This is wild. I wonder if Kelazhur does this often, or if this is something like he just came up with on the fly. Here we go. We're going for, it looks like a Hellion drop transition. There is a lot of potential with this, and again, this has to do, oh my god, my mistake. Wait, what? This isn't a Hellion drop. It's Hellbats. There's an armory. There's an armory alongside this, which again is pretty wild. I mean, Hellbats can do that much more, I guess, especially if this goes unscattered. This isn't an all-in because, again, there is a 3rd CC behind this. So a very early Hellbats 4 Marine push. There's no I'm a little bit curious because there's not a lot to work with, right? Like, Kelazhur, he just doesn't have that many units. He's pushing out across the map. As he moves out, oh, Reynor is looking to slip on in. There's nothing at home to defend. There's a lot of potential for damage for these Lings. At the same time, Kelazhur is revealing his Hellions here, which will be the cue for Reynor to dive into the natural base, and SCVs are going to go down. He gets into the main as well. Ay. Kelazhur, he is hurting back at home. SCVs are falling. Meanwhile, he's committing to his push. We have 5 Queens already on the front lines. The Lings can't do too much, but we also don't have too much to support these Hellbats. Good at target firing onto the Medevac. Ooh, Medevac will barely survive. Across the map, it looks like the Lings have been dealt with. Roaches are popping out just in time as well. Good target firing from the Queens. They take down the Medevac. And with the death of that Medevac, that's the end of this aggression. There's no more longevity with this push. It gets cleaned up. Back at home, how many SCVs went down? 8 SCVs. Oof. That's a lot of SCVs, mate. if it wasn't for that, then it still wouldn't have been worth it. It would have been a cleaner hold for Reynor because it would have had more links back at home to defend. So, yeah, the follow-up push left much to be desired here for Kelazhur, and now he is behind. He did lose his main arm. We have Roaches going for a counterattack as well. Reynor, he recognizes how vulnerable Kelazhur is. There's no bunker, there's no tank, there's no Widowmine, there's no Banshee. But Reynor does back off. Kelazhur not stopping with his harassment. He's coming in here with a Liberator, looking to try to alleviate some of that pressure, trying to force Reynor's attention back at home. Even with this third TC, like, Kelazhur still has a lot of catching up to do. Hellions are going for a bit of a run by. They're looking for one, at least. Checking that fourth base location. Liberator does siege up in the main and doesn't get a single worker kill. Gets a lot of lost mining time, but 0 kills on this Liberator. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Roaches are able to keep up here with the Hellions, and we do see that Reynor is transitioning into Lingbane. Only had the safety Roach Warren for the initial, or for the follow-up. Isn't investing into Roaches, isn't getting Roach speed or +1 range. Just Lingbane. Oh, good catch here by Reynor, just rotating over, catching that Liberator as well. Again, Liberator only forced lost mining time. As we're getting into our 3-base setup here, double NG base. Looks like Kelazhur, he wants to try to attempt to stabilize, but he's going to be far behind here. He's behind 20 workers at this point. His upgrades are very delayed. We already have 1-1 almost halfway done for Reynor. Meanwhile, 1-1 nowhere near starting for Kelazhur. Stim is going to kick in, but we still have to get combat shields. Again, the add-ons on these Raxes were delayed, so all these upgrades are delayed. Reynor trying to be a little bit cheeky. Does get punished for it. Across map we have a job. Well, good target firing. One Queen does go down. No! Oh, Jesus. No! Ah! Kelazhur, get out of here. Jesus. He made my heart stop. Oh my god. Thankfully the medevacs do survive. Nothing does get shot down. And from this point, Kelazhur, he's kind of stuck at home here. And this gives so much freedom to Reynor, right? He's free to drone up to 80. He's free to tech into his hive. Infestation Pit's on the way. Macro Hatchery as well. 5th base. Creep is just getting a bit out of control as well, as there's creep all over the place. Again, though, the opener was so interesting from Kelazhur. Haven't seen things quite like it. I liked it. As Kelazhur is being active on the right-hand side. Has left plenty at home here to defend at least his 3rd base, but as he moves out, once again his natural is a little bit vulnerable. As 5th base has been spotted, we do see another double drop here on the left-hand side, cleaning up a lot of this creep. This may be the cue here for Reynor to go for that run by. No, he does turn back around instead. A couple of queens are going down, and not just a couple. What's that, 3 queens? Oh, 4 queens. Not bad. Kelazhur. These are really nice pickups here. Unfortunately, he doesn't really touch the economy of Reynor. His worker count is still looking quite solid. We have 2-2 on the way. A hive as well. With this hive, we can get into Vipers. And once Vipers come out, the defensive position here from Kelazhur is going to be that much weaker. And we don't really have an answer to Vipers at the moment. We don't have Ghost production underway. We don't have as much of a Bioforce yet. It's not over here for Kelazhur. He can still try to do what he can here to try to keep Reynor busy and buy himself time. And for the time being, Reynor, I don't know if he's really going to commit to a big attack without Hive Tech. We'll see. I mean, Reynor still has a pretty hefty Lingbane army. Jump across the map, getting some economic damage done. Here we go. Reynor is going to be threatening that push. Tanks will keep him at bay. There it is, 4 Vipers. I don't really think Reynor wants to commit yet. Yeah, he does back off. And we were talking about how these tanks, like, they provide such a solid position here for Kelazhur, and that changes once Vipers hit the field. Well, those Vipers are on the way. 4 Vipers are in production. And once they come out, Reynor can start being aggressive. He can start trying to punish this third. Just needs a moment here to actually gather that energy. Vipers now coming out, sucking on some of those buildings. Back at home, we do see Kelazhur fortifying himself even more with these sensor towers. We have Liberators on the way, which will help out as well. But again, there aren't quite any ghosts or a way to really punish those Vipers, outside of just attempting to outposition them, of course. Oh! A couple of Bailings do connect. Ling counterattack catches a couple of these tanks as well. 2 tanks go down and 9 SCVs. Now, one upside is that Reynor hasn't gone for 3-3. Despite getting his Hive, he prioritized Adrenal Glands, and because he hasn't started 3-3, Kelazhur is catching up with 2-2. Like, the upgrades will soon be even. Good target firing at it. Kelazhur doing a lot with a little here. But over on the left-hand side, here comes that main push from Reynor. The Vipers have arrived. Oof. Throw down some power bombs. Tank's not quite in position. Planetary's gonna fall. And the Bailings, oh god, they keep on rolling in. They take a mine to the face. A big mine to the face. But the base goes down. Meanwhile, at the same time, this double drop didn't just trade well against the Ling Bane. He's getting into the mineral line. He may even get the hatchery. Liberators are putting in a lot of work. 23 drones go down. This is actually a pretty impressive amount of damage done here by Kelazhur. He is bringing himself back into this. He may have lost the base. Kelazhur, as a result, is pretty all in with this push. Like, he needs to do some more critical damage. Reynor is going to give up on this base. Hatchery is going to go down. Reynor getting ready here on the high ground, gathering up energy on those Vipers, getting Bailings. Reynor can just rotate over to one of these center bases. He's sharking around. He's looking for that army. Kelazhur, he can't afford to lose this army, by the way. Again, he just... he can't afford to, but here we go. We have the Blinding Clouds. Widowmine's not in position to defend against his flank. It looks like only 1 tank will go down, though. Not a bad fight for Kelazhur. Ling run by, catches some reinforcements. Another base is under threat. Reynor, he's being pulled apart. The drop play here from Kelazhur. Reynor just being a little bit too lax. Push is coming in on the left-hand side despite all the disadvantages earlier. Kelazhur, he's coming back. Oh, God! He's trying to come back. Takes a couple of Bailings to the face. Not the most efficient trade from Reynor. That was Bailings on tanks. Drop coming back in. Can he get the base? He will get the hatchery. Oh, my God. And even here on the left-hand side, this hatchery is so low because of the Vipers earlier. Kelazhur still holding on. He may be forced to lift up his main base to take that 4th. Like, he desperately needs a 4th base mining. Kelazhur essentially on 1.5 bases. Lings go for a big counterattack. Running into Marines, though. Does get a tank, but that was not an efficient trade for Reynor. Throwing away too much. I wanted these Widowmites to waddle in. They're getting there. They're getting there. And suddenly, upgrades are even. Remember earlier, we were talking about how 3-3 was never started for Reynor and still has not started. So Kelazhur now getting ahead in those upgrades. You can see, though, he is really oversaturated. He's running out of mineral patches here at his 3rd base and at his natural. He needs another base, and there it is. He does float the main over. It's not going to be a planetary, so this CC is going to be that much more vulnerable. But if Kelazhur is going to be continuing to be active on the map with these drops, then he may be able to get this up and running. Here we go. Again, that hatchery is so low. He can try to snipe it, but he goes for the scan. Reynor's in position. Oh my god, good mine shot. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Vipers, they do connect with those parasitic bombs. Good splits out of Kelazhur. Meanwhile, we can see Kelazhur. Oh my god, it's so tempting to dive on that hatchery. Link Bane rolling on in. Reynor does have enough in position as Kelazhur does drop into the main. At the same time, he's sharking around looking for potentially jumping on those Vipers. We have Infestors with fungal growths. These that's the thing. These spellcasters, even though Reynor has been struggling here, because of the spellcasters in a main fight, I want to favor Reynor. Of course, if he connects with like fungals and blinding clouds, there's that caveat. Speaking of, oh god, fungal connects with the medevacs, not with the marines. Decent mind shots off on those banelings as well. It looks like the drop on the left-hand side was cleaned up by those Vipers, by those parasitic bombs. Yeah, with the death of that drop on the left-hand side, we can go for run-bys. The Lings, they get into the mineral line. Again, good mine shots. Oh my god. Very efficient trades coming out from Kelazhur. The Link counterattack is getting a bit much done, even forcing some friendly fire. Here we go, Reynor pushing in towards this third base. There are no tanks in position. They went down earlier. And now that Reynor can finally be aggressive, we can see how little Kelazhur has to defend. A massive fungal of the army! And Kelazhur does lose his third, loses 19 SCVs. Oh no, the power bombs! Oh my god. GG gets called, and Reynor will take game number 1. That was not a clean game. GG, well played, Kelazhur, making Reynor work for it oh so hard. GG. Let's go. It was a rocky start. It was a really rocky start from Kelazhur, I'll be honest. I did think that Viper timing may be the end of Kelazhur, and Reynor was working towards it, right? He was building up towards that big timing, that big push. And he did go for it. But at the same time, Kelazhur, he was so aggressive, he was so active with his drop play, whether it was a double drop on the right, on the left-hand side, hitting at the same time. And it did feel like Reynor was a little bit maybe overconfident. Maybe he was, yeah, and just not really too concerned with defending too much against these drops, and hyper concerned when it came to these pushes. As a result, Reynor was being punished for it pretty hard. Kelazhur doing a great job at just punishing how aggressive Reynor was and how little he had at home to defend. So yeah, it was really nicely done. Really nicely done by Kelazhur. Didn't win overall, but he did a great job at coming back in that game from a deficit in the early game. GG. And now we're getting into game number 2. Well, this is why I love casting Diego. So I love casting Kelazhur. He's such a unique player. He has a lot of unique builds as well. Maybe one of the more creative players in Terran players in Europe. I say Europe, like at the moment he is living in Europe. But we'll see. See how this does turn out. So spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the Italian Zerg player representing Team Basilisk, leading the series 1-0. But that was not an easy game 1. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brazilian Terran player representing Team Liquid, down in the series but not out. It is Kelazhur. Living in, I always get it mixed up. Kelazhur is either living in the Netherlands or Norway. I think it's the Netherlands, right? I think he's living in the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. I remember he got an internship at Shopify? Or was it Team Liquid? I want to say Shopify. But yeah, really cool to see. And really impressive showing in game 1. And not just in game 1, I did bring it up, but last week we casted Kelazhur versus Lambo, and it went to the ace match. And again, Kelazhur, he almost took the series. He was looking very impressive against Lambo. And what I was impressed by, I've seen a lot of Kelazhur playing mech. I've seen a lot of his mech style here against Zerg. I've seen him rely on it on altitude, on Gresvan. But against Lambo, even on some of those larger maps, no, Kelazhur, he was going for these bio-heavy styles. And his control, like his army movements, his drop play was all just so impressive. And yeah, I'm glad to see that also being showcased here against Reynor. Again, he may be down in this series, but I would almost say that Kelazhur was looking a little bit more impressive than Reynor in game 1. I guess just because he was coming back from a deficit. Imagine what would have happened if he wasn't behind in the early game, if he hadn't sustained so much economic losses, if the Hellbat push hadn't fallen on its face, for example. Would have been a very different game. As Reynor is going for a hatch gas pool. Very standard opener here out of Reynor. I should also mention that we have a standard opener out of Kelazhur as well. Shows Brazil on his page. No, so Kelazhur, he is Brazilian, but he did move to Europe. A couple of years ago. I want to say 2020? 2020? 2019? Yeah, fun fact. For those who maybe didn't know. Reynor is going for a very fast Roach Warren. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. Roach Warren is thrown down. And so far unscattered by Kelazhur. I'm a little bit concerned. Okay, so Kelazhur, he did go for an SCV scout and he saw a standard opener. Kelazhur didn't go for a Reaper opener. Unfortunately, without a Reaper, it's going to be difficult to get eyes on this. As Reynor is making more lings, there's no third base. Kelazhur's working with very little information. He's going to be going back in with that SCV to try to see if there is a third base or not, but the lings are here to deny that scout. Kelazhur is in the dark. He just doesn't know that a 2-base all-in is coming his way. Back at home, it is a 1-1-1 opener. There should be an add-on swap for a Banshee, but before the Banshee comes out, Reynor, he's coming. Link speed has kicked in, SCVs are being shot down. We do see some Hellions coming in from the left-hand side. Again, Kelazhur still needs to get eyes on the hatcheries, and here we go. He sees no third base at the triangular third, and I believe he doesn't see the roaches. Now he does. Roaches have been spotted. Kelazhur getting ready back at home. A bunker is thrown down, but this may just be too late. Hellions get cleaned up. The bunker still on the way. Kelazhur just throwing down SimCity as quickly as he can. But again, this was a late reaction, a late scout from Kelazhur. Boys, they have to be pulled. Hellions, they just tickle these roaches. Lings are coming in from behind as well. They're looking for a surround, and they will catch a surround on these Hellions. The bunker, it may finish, but by the time it does, there are no Marines to fill it. The Marines go down, and the natural base is compromised. Kelazhur, he's got that Banshee on the way, but by the time it comes out, there's nothing left. Again, just an unfortunate start for Kelazhur because he didn't go for a Reaper, because his SCV scouts and even his Hellion scouts were denied. He just didn't get eyes on this. GG gets called, and Reynor will take game number 2 and the series 2-0. GG. I think it's in Europe every now and then, like in summer mostly. Oh, nice. There we go. GG, well played. Congratulations to Reynor, but a bit of a smudge game too. As it was pretty straightforward in a way. It was a 2-base all-in. Because Kelazhur didn't go for a Reaper opener, he was trying to go for that SCV scout. If you recall, he was trying desperately to get a scout off on the third base, but Lings were there at every turn. Really good positioning from the overlords of Reynor to get a read on where exactly the SCV was, so he could position his Lings. And yeah, Reynor, he just did a good job at hiding his roaches and hiding the all-in for as long as possible. We saw by the time Kelazhur realized what was happening, by the time he threw down a bunker, as the army was already at his front door. It was already too late at that point. GG, well played. As Reynor does take the series, but again, Kelazhur, he looked really impressive in game 1, and I would have loved to have seen a mid game between these two players, with like at an even footing as well. Like game 1 left me wanting more, and game 2 didn't quite deliver. Unfortunately, I wanted more of Diego versus Reynor, but GG, well played. Congratulations to Reynor as he takes the series 2-0, and we are heading into our next series into Harsum versus Baby Marine. Let's go.